KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Good morning. It's November 2nd. We hope you had a good week so far. The weather's been nice, especially in the afternoons.
Yes, it has. Right now, a couple degrees warmer than we were at this time yesterday. 48 degrees out at San Antonio International Airport.
That's right. Let's go ahead and check in with Justin to see when his favorite weather will return.
I am excited about some warmer weather, but I realize that a lot of people don't agree with me, and that's okay. We're kind of in that transition zone, so we're going to see some nice weather next couple of days where we're kind of in between. We'll go from chilly weather to more warm weather by next week. 48 right now. Northeasterly winds at 3. Dew point is at 35, so that number's still relatively low. And I think today's high is going to be really comfortable. 67 the forecast, light winds, mostly sunny skies. Should be a really, really nice day, and we'll see more of that coming up again tomorrow. Let's look at some of the weather headlines here. Drought monitor is in, and we've got good news. It looks slightly better, and I'll show that to you coming up. We'll get some extra clouds over the weekend. It'll be warmer both Saturday and Sunday, and don't forget, we fall back. Don't be early to church on Sunday. It happens. You got to set the clock back Sunday morning, 2 a.m. We'll talk about all those things, and we'll get you that 7-day forecast, too, coming up in just a bit. Let's get over to Steven now, though. We've had some issues on the roadways this morning.
Yeah, typical stuff that we see when it gets pretty busy, Justin. As we get a look outside, though, things have quieted down. We got through morning rush, but we did have some trouble out there in a few spots like I-10 where we had a major crash reported. That has since cleared out, and right behind me, the roads look pretty clear as well. 10 at Probant, you can see east and westbound lanes not too crowded, and there at 35 at Space Center, traffic is moving. A lot of that red and congestion that we tend to see on our map around this time has already dwindled down. We still have a little bit of a slowdown that's taking place along 281 if you're heading into the downtown area along those southbound lanes. So just pack some patience if you see those brake lights in front of you. And as a quick reminder, we still have this utility work that is taking place along 151 over on the west side of San Antonio. Now, make sure that you schedule this because we still have to get through today and tomorrow. This starts around 9 this morning. Crews are probably already out there. Should finish at 3 in the afternoon. Remember, we're going to see those single lane closures on the frontage road in both directions at Hunt Lane. You could scan this QR code. I have updated the list of closures in and around our area. Always good to know what to expect before you have to hit the roads. Guys?
Thank you, Stephen.
Let's look at today's 9 at 9.
New remarks from President Biden about the escalating Israel-Hamas war. In response to a heckler demanding he call for a ceasefire, the president said he supports a pause to allow for the release of Hamas-held hostages. His comments come as Israel and Hamas expand attacks and as tensions increase across the Middle East.
As the war between Israel and Hamas escalates, so are anti-Semitic tensions. Acts of hatred towards Jews have been found on social media posts, and vandalism has intensified to, quote, historic levels, according to FBI Director Christopher Wray. This has Jewish communities in the U.S. and elsewhere rattled and concerned about the future.
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will be traveling to Lewiston, Maine tomorrow to pay their respects to the grieving community of last week's mass shooting. The two will be meeting with family members as well as first responders. A total of 18 people were killed and 13 others were injured in the shooting, which was the deadliest in the U.S. since the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde last year.
The Senate passed its first government funding measures for fiscal year 2024 yesterday. The 3 bills passed as a single measure. Meanwhile, the House passed its 5th appropriations bill last week under new Speaker Mike Johnson. Congress needs to pass 12 appropriation bills individually, together, or on a short-term basis to fully fund the government. The deadline is coming up on the 17th.
For the second time in a row, the Federal Reserve has left interest rates alone, but it's still at a 22-year high. And after its latest 2-day meeting, Fed Chair Jerome Powell hinted there may not be another hike this year. The Fed's Open Market Committee will meet again in mid-December.
The tentative contract deals between the UAW and Detroit's Big Three may be rippling across the outer world. Toyota, which is not unionized at its U.S. plants, is now giving most of its American factory workers a 9% pay bump.
Toyota is recalling nearly 2 million RAV4s that may carry a fire risk caused by replacement batteries. This is for vehicles from model years 2013 to 2018. Some of the batteries in those vehicles have incorrect dimensions, which could cause them to shake loose and start a fire if the vehicle makes a sharp turn. Toyota is working to remedy the issue.
Six Flags and Cedar Fair have entered into a definitive merger agreement to combine companies. Each is worth a little under $2 billion. The combined company now holds 42 iconic amusement parks and 9 resort properties across the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
The Texas Rangers are celebrating their first World Series title in franchise history after beating the Arizona Diamondbacks 5-0 in Game 5 last night. The Rangers were undefeated on the road this postseason. Rangers shortstop Corey Seager was named World Series MVP. The Rangers head back home to Texas now, where they'll celebrate their World Series title with a parade in Arlington tomorrow. And that's today's 9 at 9.
In your other morning headlines, a congressman accused of lying gets to stay in Congress, and no tip, slow service.
Plus, coaching legend Bobby Knight passes away, and he had a connection to San Antonio. David Sears is here with your morning headlines.
Yeah, remember he coached at Texas Tech for 6 years, so we'll talk about that connection in just a second. But first, let's talk about this. He has been accused by his critics of being a serial liar, but he is still a U.S. congressman from New York after some of his fellow congressmen and women from his own state and party tried to kick him out last night. Didn't kick hard enough. George Santos still there. Santos has been accused of allegedly lying about several different things, like where he went to high school and college, his niece getting kidnapped, his mother dying in the 9/11 attacks. He never worked on a Wall Street like his campaign bio says he did, just to name of those few lies he's accused of. Regardless, there were not enough votes, not a majority, against him last night, so he is still in Congress.
I came here for policy. I don't care about re-elections and keeping the political hacks employed. That's on them. If they think I'm going to be a problem for their re-elections.
It's a distraction, and it's a punchline for a lot of commentary regarding the Republican Party.
Santos has pleaded not guilty to 23 federal counts. He is accused of stealing people's identities, making unauthorized changes on his donors' credit cards, and lying to federal election officials. That trial set for next September. In the meantime, there is an ethics investigation still going on. All right, for you cheap misers, and you don't like the tip, here's one for you. DoorDash says no tips, slow service. They are testing a new warning message that says if you don't tip the driver, then your delivery may take a little longer to get to you. If you put it in an order, a message pops up that says, quote, orders with no tip might take longer to be delivered. And that is not all. Drivers can pick up the orders they want to pick up. Spokesperson says they're only testing the system, but she added that drivers have the freedom to accept or reject offers based on whether or not they think they are valuable. Hey, the basketball world lost a legend last night. Former coach Bobby Knight passed away. Knight started at Army. He was a head coach at 24 there. He went on to coach at Indiana for 29 years. He won 3 championships. He also led the team to a U.S. gold medal. As great as he was also very controversial. Probably one of the most famous incidents when he threw that chair across the floor during a game. He also headbutted a player and choked one at practice. He was finally fired by Indiana and then hired at Texas Tech. He always said he didn't like his players. He loved them. He mocked a reporter when he was asked about game face. Said, I have no idea what that means. Former Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski, who played for Knight at Army, saying we lost one of the greatest coaches in the history of basketball. He was one of a kind, no doubt. He was 83 years old. Here's the connection. When he got the job at Texas Tech, I think it was his first year or his second year, he came to San Antonio and recruited a young man named John Afugbu from Taft. And we actually had video of him standing like in the corner of the gym watching this kid play. The kid was like 6'9" and went to Tech for a couple of years, but that was his connection. And also I got to interview him one time, being from Tech. When in the early days when he was there, they played at UT. Got to go up there, even asked him a question. I don't remember the question. I remember the answer was pretty short.
Okay.
Well, it was Bobby Knight.
It was a Bob Knight answer.
But yeah, a lot of controversy, but a great coach. There's players who, didn't think much of him, but there's a whole lot of players who thought he was one of the best of all time.
See, and I didn't know if that was a David Sears sports memory or a Texas Tech memory. It turns out it's both.
It was both.
Yeah.
I got to go up there and cover the game, and
Nice.
then got to ask him a question. It's like I said, I don't remember the question, but I remember the answer was Kind of short.
Real short.
He will be missed.
So, yeah, he was something else.
Thank
That's
you very
for sure.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
9:07, 48 degrees, still ahead on GMSA at 9.
Well, we have more Rangers coverage coming up as they celebrate their World Series title. We're going to hear from the team and have more information about tomorrow's big celebration.
AT&T hopes to increase representation of Hispanic professionals in science, technology, engineering, and math fields by teaching high school students.
So AT&T is hosting High Tech Day, where professionals dive deep into the STEM field. And that's where we find our Tiffany Huertas from the Boeing Center at Techport with more. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning. The event is going to take place here at Area 21, and it's going to fill all of this with students, local students, and they're going to be taking place here with different workshops, everything from coding. And we have Cosme, who is here leading this very special workshop. Tell me a little bit more about this program, Hacemos.
Hey, so good morning. So Hacemos is actually a AT&T Hispanic Employee Resource Group. And just as you mentioned, we're here at SAMSAT, which is the San Antonio Museum of Arts and Technology here at the Boeing Center.
And tell me, how did this all get started? What is the goal behind this?
So basically, the purpose of High Tech Day is to create an environment where students get introduced to careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
There's a lot of opportunity at AT&T with this?
Yes, ma'am. And then during today's events, the students are going to be participating in coding, working on smart tech vehicles, and also get a chance to participate hands-on with robotics.
This is happening in other cities across the U.S. Tell us about that.
Yes, ma'am. This is actually a multi-city event. It's happening in 16 cities across the United States. We're actually expected to get about 1,500 participants just this year.
How do you think this is going to impact them in the future and maybe other students getting involved in this?
I think this is really going to impact them. It's going to show them the possibilities that are out there. And this is specifically for Hispanics, right, to introduce them into this field of technology.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. We're going to wait for the students to get here, and we're so excited to see and learn more about these workshops. And we'll bring you that story coming up on the noon show. We'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Let's go outside with live cam. We gained a degree in the last 13 minutes. Quite the accomplishment. Consider how chilly it's been the last couple of mornings.
Some cold mornings for sure. Cold and crisp. We like it. It's nice. The afternoons are going to be especially nice. This is sort of our sweet spot time of year where we get some pretty nice days.
It is nice in the afternoon.
So that's the positive side of things. We got to talk about the negative. I know it's Thursday. We got to talk about the drought monitor and the drought. So let me show you the rainfall over the last 25 months. And what you'll notice here, we're breaking down each month, okay? So it's been since October of 2021, honestly, since we've seen a really good month of rainfall. The one exception being April of 2023. The rest of the months, below average. That includes September and October of this year. Even though October was pretty good, we still came in a little bit below average for the month. We'll see where we end up in November, but what a stretch. What a stretch it has been, and you know all too well, our grass is brown, farmers are having issues. We all know how this goes, and as we look at the drought monitor from last week, now here's kind of the positive spin on things. This was a drought monitor last week. We had exceptional drought for most of Bexar County, Comal County, Kendall County, the usual spots, the way it's been all summer. Watch what happens when we fast forward to this week. We're still in extreme drought, which is still not good, but the exceptional drought has started to go away. There is still an area of an exceptional drought for parts of southwestern Bexar County, Medina, and Atascosa. But we're moving in the right direction, but we've got to keep this momentum going, so we need some more rain in the forecast, and I got to tell you, there's not a lot, at least at the moment. We've spent more than 779 consecutive days that at least some part of South Central Texas has been in a drought. That's an astounding number, honestly. The drought has been prolonged. It has been brutal in some cases, and as I mentioned, rain chances virtually non-existent. Sunday and Monday we have a very small chance of maybe a shower, but I doubt it. I doubt we'll see anything at all. So that leaves us with a dry stretch here. The dew points do start to climb. We'll be dry today, but by tomorrow, and especially as we get into the weekend and next week, you'll see humidity climb. We'll see more clouds. It'll feel a little more sticky outside. In the mornings, that's probably where you'll see the biggest difference. When these cold mornings are gone, we'll be back in the 60s for lows. Outside right now, pretty beautiful morning underway. We've got some mid and high level cloudiness coming through. 48, New Braunfels at 47, Seguin at 44, Bernie and Kerrville upper 30s, low 40s. Not much wind out there at all. We don't expect much wind today. So your KSAT 12-hour forecast, noon time, 60, 62 at 1 o'clock. We're at 67 this afternoon. Doesn't get much better than that. Mostly sunny. There is going to be a southeasterly wind starting to kick in, and that's why we see the return of some moisture. And then tonight, if you're heading out to some Thursday night football games, temperatures in the 50s and 60s. What about the weekend? Well, we do see more clouds both Saturday and Sunday. We could even see a little bit of patchy fog Saturday morning. I don't anticipate that being a big problem. But you'll notice the temperatures warm. 78 Saturday, 81 Sunday. Warm, more humidity. But all in all, not a bad weekend if you're going to be outdoors. The extended forecast. 74 Friday, 78 Saturday, 81 Sunday. Again, don't forget to fall back. Thankfully, with technology these days, the phone, automatically does it for you. Remember back in the day, we had to actually wind your clock. It was a whole thing. 82 Monday.
Some you still have to do that.
Yeah, well, something like your oven or your microwave,
Yes.
you still got to do it. It'll throw you off.
Yeah, the wall clocks.
The wall
You still
clocks.
have to go up there and
do it.
and change
But
it.
yeah, the cell phones, it's handy when it just does it for you.
That's very handy because you're like, you look here and then you look there, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So don't be early to anything Sunday morning.
Okay, well, it's better to be early than late.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
I do agree with that sentiment. Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
9:17, 49 degrees.
And our KSAT Investigates team is taking us inside a maximum security facility to see the problems they are dealing with firsthand. It comes after a statewide prison lockdown that lasted over a month. We're going to have that story when we come back.
New this morning, a girl is dead after an argument led to a shooting early this morning. It happened out in Elmendorf near Southton Road and I-37.
According to the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, the girl was shot in the chest just after 4 a.m. when she got into an argument with another girl. She later died from her injury. Authorities have made an arrest, but no information has been released about the suspect or the victim.
Well, prisons across the state are now back to normal after a lockdown that lasted weeks.
Search process throughout each unit has been extensive, and we showed you some of what that looked like yesterday on the news at 6. But if you missed it, you can watch the story again online.
KSAT Investigates Lee Waldman shows us what's been found and the impact it's having on the inmate population in part 2 of her story.
We're going to be thorough. We're going to make sure that the facilities are safe and that we rid the facility as much contraband as we can.
Contraband like cell phones, alcohol, drugs, and weapons. An update posted on the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Facebook shows just how widespread this issue is. From the start of the lockdown on September 6 to October 6, 398 cell phones have been found, 482 weapons, 385 dangerous items like handcuff keys, tattoo guns, pills, and drug paraphernalia, and another 414 drug discoveries.
All of our facilities go through some type of shakedown procedure each year, but to take a whole system down at once had not been done since 2008.
Bobby Lumpkin is the director of Correctional Institutions Division. He says this lockdown is a major disruption to day-to-day life in prison.
It is very concerning. We've also had some serious assaults, some assaults of staff but inmate homicides.
As of October 4th, there have been 21 homicides at TDCJ prisons. 2022 saw 7 murders. 2021 had 9 for the year.
He just wanted to come home and he wanted to venture in agriculture, and he wanted to help people get in shape.
Lashara Lampkin's 22-year-old son, Braylon Holly, was found dead in his cell on September 30th. A TDCJ spokesperson says it appears he was assaulted. Lampkin says he was close to his release date.
I know he wasn't perfect, but he did his time. He paid his dues. He shouldn't have to die.
Lampkin says Holly told her about the lockdown. She thought that meant he would be safe from any violence happening inside.
I mean, they were supposed to be on a lockdown. So I don't understand how this happened.
As with all deaths, the Office of the Inspector General is investigating what happened to Holly. On top of the murders, there's been 17 fatal overdoses this year as of early October. That's the same amount as all of 2022 and 5 more than 2021.
Think of a prison like a small city. Right, and it's reflective of what's happening outside in the free world.
They're finding meth, fentanyl, cocaine, PCP, amphetamines, and large amounts of K2, or synthetic marijuana. Several staff members have been arrested for their involvement in bringing in drugs.
We're committed to rooting them out, finding those individuals, and ensuring that they're arrested and hopefully prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Over the past 5 years, there's been an exponential increase in the amount of contraband found inside of prisons, from attempts to throw things over this fence to even drone drops of illicit drugs and cell phones.
Considerable increase in some categories, 200, 300, 400% increase. Mail is one of the main pipelines.
That was Lee Waldman reporting. Like we said, that was part 2 of our Texas prison lockdown story.
So Lee has part 3 coming up later today on the 6 o'clock news. But before that, she's going to join us this morning to talk more about this story.
Yeah, Lee will be with us after this short break. Right now, it's just about 9:25, 49 degrees.
We'll be right back.
Well, before the break, we showed you part of our coverage of a statewide lockdown at prisons across the state of Texas.
Texas Department of Criminal Justice says the amount of violence, drugs, and contraband are at an all-time high, and KSAT investigates Lee Waldman was given exclusive access inside a prison in Huntsville where she saw the problems firsthand.
Lee joins us now more to talk about this story. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you with us. So the number of homicides to triple from one year to the next, that is significant. And is this a problem that other places are experiencing as well?
Well, we had the same question. We wanted to know if other places were finding this same kind of problem. So we decided to pull an open records request looking at a state with similar size. So we looked to California, and we had some records sent to us from the California Correctional Healthcare Services, which provides data for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So from the start of the year to September 22nd, there had been 11 homicides there. For 2021 and 2022, there were 14 and 25 homicides each year, respectively. So this isn't an issue isolated to just Texas. Other states are experiencing the same kinds of things. The Federal Bureau of Prisons also went on a lockdown as well. So this is a problem that happens across prison systems in our country.
And Lee, we mentioned in the story, this is the first lockdown since 2008. Your story tells what prompted this recent one, but what happened back in 2008?
So in 2008, it's really interesting what happened there. That lockdown was issued by then Governor Rick Perry. And so he had issued the lockdown because an inmate who was on death row used a contraband cell phone to call a state representative. Now, the reason all of this was so concerning back in 2008 is because when you think of death row, that's the highest level of security when it comes to TDCJ. So to have an inmate with an illegal cell phone illustrated that issue. Now in 2023, the rising violence, drugs, and other contraband were posing a real problem inside of TDCJ. But what actually sent things over the edge, there were 5 murders in the span of 5 days. And so that really forced officials with TDCJ to say, we need to act quickly. We need to stop this violence in its tracks.
Lee, obviously a lockdown statewide is a big deal for a system as large as the one here in Texas for TDCJ. Were there any issues?
There were some issues. There were some things that they had to overcome when it comes to a lockdown. So the way that these lockdowns work, they need to take everyone by surprise. Not only those who need to know are the ones who are told about the lockdown before it happens. So one of the issues that arose in the first couple of days of this lockdown were issues with food distribution. So inmates were waiting hours longer to get their meals because those meals had to be prepared, then bagged, and then brought to the cells by staff. Now, normally that staff has some trusted inmates helping them in the kitchen with that prep. With a lockdown, the assistance is gone and that food needs to be hand delivered. So that proves problematic for the thousands and thousands of incarcerated people. But it was a problem that didn't last very long, and it was resolved within the first week of that lockdown and hasn't arisen again.
Well, thank you, Lee, for joining us. And part 3 airs tonight.
Part 3 airs tonight at 6 o'clock. And we also have an online exclusive story, which is a part 4, which really highlights the rehabilitation that's happening inside of our prison system.
Awesome. All right, Lee, thank you. You can find all the stories on KSAT.com by heading to our KSAT Investigates page. Thank you, Lee.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Let's look out there with live cam, warming up a little bit more, 49 degrees, not as cold as it was earlier this morning, and sky's looking nice.
Yeah, we got some clouds coming through. It made for a really, really nice sunrise We'll have these clouds around today. It's a few clouds here and there. We'll call it mostly sunny by this afternoon. But let me show you that sunrise. We got some pictures coming in on KSAT Connect. This is from Westover Hills, northwest San Antonio, and the colors are fantastic. Some mid-level clouds producing that pink color, and when you have those kind of clouds, usually sunrises and sunsets are pretty awesome. We appreciate that picture. As always, you can send those into our KSAT Connect. Let me show you the clouds here on satellite picture. I know kind of hard to see there, but those clouds sneaking in from the south and west. And so we have cloud cover San Antonio, Hondo, down to Pleasanton, Beeville, and Carrizo Springs. And again, this is sort of an indication that moisture's trying to work its way back in. It's going to be a slow process, but we will see more clouds in the coming days. Temperatures right now, 48 degrees in San Antonio, 40 at Kerrville, 48 Rock Springs, 44 out there in LaGrange, and 41 right now in Boulevardy, but we're going to see these temperatures turn a corner. By noontime, 60, we're at 67 this afternoon. In my book, that's a pretty nice day. Those southeasterly winds will kick in a little bit this afternoon, but winds generally pretty light, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Coming up here in a bit, we'll talk wind chill and extended forecasts. What can we expect next week? More on that in a bit, guys.
Did you guys see this back here? This looks delicious. Thanksgiving will be here before we know it, and a new forecast is revealing how much your turkey dinner will cost you this year.
So which items will be more expensive and which will be cheaper? CNN's Cole Higgins explains why the start of the holiday meal is seeing a shift in price.
This year's Thanksgiving dinner is serving up some dramatic shifts when it comes to cost. Wholesale prices for turkey fell 29% in October compared to a year ago. That's according to Wells Fargo's new Thanksgiving report. The forecast is welcome news for turkey farmers and marks a major shift from last year when a wave of avian flu took out birds, leaving some farms struggling to keep up with demand, which led to higher store prices. This 2023, the Wells Fargo Agri-Food Institute says farms added 2% to 3% additional birds, and that robust supply plus a drop in the cost of refrigerated trucks to move supply from farm to store are contributing to the price drop. But get ready for some sticker shock because the rest of the meal will cost you more.
Everything else around it, all those side dishes, choose to spend wisely and shop wisely where you can.
According to the Wells Fargo forecast, canned cranberries cost almost 60% more compared to the same time last year. So opt for fresh cranberries instead, which cost about 20% less compared to last year. And right now, production costs for canned pumpkin are 30% higher this year from last year. Russet potato prices are at an all-time high, with prices up 14% from a year ago. So consider going for sweet potatoes instead. Store prices are only up about 4%. To trim costs, experts recommend scaling back.
Do you really need all that stuff? Who is actually eating this? Do we have a dish that maybe only gets 2 or 3 bites? Scrap it.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
No, ignore her. I mean, we need all that stuff. I will eat all that stuff.
Well, experts say expect even sweeter deals closer to Thanksgiving since stores usually drop turkey prices 2 weeks before the holiday.
I was in the meat department on my HEB yesterday, and there's one whole case that's empty and ready for a bunch of turkeys. There were some on the end cap, but they're waiting for
But it's not full yet.
Not full yet.
Still early.
Including the big turkeys, and then I guess all the boneless breasts and all that stuff. I'm hungry.
You're excited about this.
I am. 9:35, 50 degrees. You're watching GMSA at 9.
Look out there with a zoo cam. Are there any turkeys? Run, run. Just kidding. It's a hippo cam.
Oh, there's one right there in the middle.
Right there. Okay, yeah. I see it.
Okay.
Well, good. Good morning.
We need to train these hippos to
be on cue.
Look at us and smile when the camera's up versus the posterior view, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, better luck next time, but it's always a great day to go to the zoo.
Just about 9:40. Christmas is still 53 days away, but little elves have worked all summer long to put the holiday magic in a box.
Patty Santos takes us to Reindeer Trail, where Christmas happens all year long.
All those gingerbread shingles and chocolate Kris Kringles.
There's a place in San Antonio where the Christmas songs never stop.
This is our production area. Just a bunch of elves, very busy walking away.
Covered in glitter and garland, these elves have worked all summer long. putting the holiday cheer in some of the most luxurious homes and hotels in the nation.
We've had some products in some Hallmark movies in the past, so that's been really, really exciting.
Caroline Pueller, vice president of Seasonscapes, can't say their names, but says her trees have graced the homes of some famous clients.
Ornaments.
Pueller lives and breathes Christmas 365 days a year. And it all starts right here in a San Antonio warehouse.
So we have different stations that work. So, you know, we'll have one person that's making all of the bows and the loops, ribbon loops for the trees. Then we've got Liz here doing all of the branch displays.
The warehouse could be mistaken for the North Pole with lots and lots of ornaments. So far this year, more than 600 Christmas trees and thousands of garlands have been trimmed and shipped. And for customers, it's as easy as opening up a box and fluffing and shaping the already decorated tree. Ready in 10 minutes.
I think the biggest tree that we've built this year is 24 feet, and we've done 2 of those already.
You're in awe, and I know what you're thinking. I want to try that on my tree.
Do you ever do classes? Because I feel like I could take a class and a lot of people would love to be able to know how to do something like
You know what? I don't. We have started doing a little bit of that on Instagram, just a few like tips as we coming up to the holiday season.
Her trees will bring Christmas magic to many local bank lobbies and hotels on the Riverwalk. Pueller says if you spot one, there's a little elf magic in each one.
There's a team of people that lovingly put that together, and it's not easy.
Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
Really want to trigger somebody? Ask them if it's too early to put up their Christmas tree. Yeah, I mean, you'll get some reactions for sure.
You will.
I mean, some people, right after Halloween, some
It's
started decorating yesterday.
David, when do you guys put your Christmas tree up? Right after Thanksgiving? Yeah. That's pretty traditional.
Yeah.
Same here. What about you?
Same. Yeah, you can't do it too early. There's some people that just, it's holiday celebrations every month.
Well, back in the day, didn't they used to put it up on like Christmas Eve? That was part of the lore, right?
so.
The family did
a long time ago.
Yeah. And now we're too invested. We got to get our money's worth. We got to do it like a month in advance.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway.
Right after Thanksgiving. We're getting there. It's starting to feel more like cold season after this cold snap. And with that being said, we're shifting back to more warm weather. I got a question via email about wind chills. So I thought I'd do a little trivia question about it and ask you guys. So David can't answer because he knows the answer.
Tell me, David.
Above what temperature is wind chill no longer calculated? So there's a threshold for air temperature at which there's no longer a wind chill. What do you think?
Yeah, that was my guess. David's telling me.
What was
my guess was C.
C, 50 degrees. What do you think, Mark?
My guess was, if I recall from a long time ago, 45.
45. Okay. It is actually C. You were close, but it is 50 degrees. All right. You knew that, David. Wind chill is calculated when the temperatures are at or above 50 degrees with a wind at least 3 miles per hour. Why is that? Because once you get 50 or above, it's just the heat around the body. You can't. It doesn't really change that much. So that's why when they put into the equation, it's got to be 50 degrees or below. Anyway, a little bit of trivia for you. Great question. Someone emailed and asked, why is that? So as we go outside for you right now, we've got some clouds and mid-level clouds coming through, and temperatures 48 degrees at the airport, 47 in New Braunfels, 44 Seguin, 45 in Bernie, 42 in Kerrville. Not much of a wind chill. In fact, we don't have a wind chill in this case because in this situation, it's the wind. Not enough wind, 3 miles per hour or below. So it's cold, but we're not getting that really strong, chilly wind. Satellite pictures shows we've got some clouds working as we saw there on the picture outside. Some of these mid-level clouds, mid-level stratus working through. And that's an indication we're starting to see a little bit more moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. And as we look out west, we've got some rain and thunderstorms and snow up across the higher elevations of the Pacific Northwest. But we're also watching a little area of low pressure out here near California that actually does move in our direction. Normally, we'd say, hey, maybe this will bring us a little bit of rain, but it really doesn't. It moves in, and if it does come here in one piece, which is kind of falling apart as it does, there's probably not enough moisture to work with. So we're going to keep rain out of the forecast this weekend, but it will add a little bit of cloud cover to our forecast both Saturday and Sunday. So the extended forecast. We'll go 74 Friday, 78 Saturday, 81 Sunday. We could see some patchy morning fog on Saturday, but as I said, a little bit more cloud cover both days. We're back in the 80s by Sunday, and certainly by next week. It's warming back up to more spring, fall-like levels than winter. And there is no cold front, at least in the extended forecast that we're seeing, it's going to bring us another big cool down, guys.
Well, people will look forward to that. Thank you, Justin. And nobody is happier today than Rangers fans after they won their first World Series last night.
Indeed. David Sears back with highlights from Game 5 over in Phoenix.
Oh, look at that trophy. A lot of great things about this, but you know, one of the best things about last night's win and the Rangers winning the World Series is we have our own World Series champion now here in San Antonio, Josh Young.
Yeah.
MacArthur High School and Texas Tech. But, you know, how about that? That's pretty good. All right, the Rangers have won the World Series for the first time, as we told you, but they made history on the road last night. It only took 2 innings to set the stage for the celebration. So there's been a World Series 3 times. Finally got to see what it was like to hold that trophy. They did it with defense last night. How about that? Bottom of the 7th, that was Ivan Longoria with a rip to left, and even Carter with the sliding catch to save a run. It was like that for both sides through 6th. And in the top of the 7th, 2 on, Mitch Garver up the middle. Corey Seager scores 1-0. Top of the 9th, runners on 1st and 2nd. Jana Heim is going to go right back up the middle, and watch what happens to the center fielder. Oh, this is embarrassing. Oh, whoop! Right under the glove, right through the legs. Alec Thomas with the big air goes all the way to the wall. Josh Young scores. Rangers get another run. They go up 3-0. They add 2 more. Then here is your final out right there. Texas wins the World Series over the Diamondbacks in 5 games, 5-0. Corey Seager named MVP. He had 2 hits, a walk, and scored a run last night. He hit 3 2-run homers against Arizona through the playoffs. This was his 2nd World Series MVP. Let's hear from him and the manager.
It truly is incredible. But it's not just me, man. What this team did and how we competed and all the guys in there rallying, you know, we don't really have one leader. You know, that whole clubhouse is a leadership. They're all professionals in there, and we all knew we had a job and a task at hand, and we competed and we did it. You know, it's pretty cool.
It's special. I'm not going to lie, it's special to come here in my first year, you know, with the team that was determined to play winning baseball and never won a championship.
Obviously, you start every spring training. Everybody has that same goal in mind to become World Series champions. And, you know, for us to be able to overcome all the adversity and the challenges that we faced, you know, from the start of the spring training on, like all the other teams, but for us to be able to come out on top, it's a very special feeling.
Here's what's really amazing about this win. They went 4 rounds. They were 11-0 on the road. Every time they were in somebody else's ballpark, they beat them. Absolutely amazing. A release sent out by the Rangers organization confirmed that there's going to be a big event taking place in the Arlington Entertainment District and will be free of charge to all fans. The Rangers statement notes that the parade is expected to begin at 12:15, and that's the entire team expected to participate. Following the parade, the Rangers said a public ceremony is going to be hosted along the North Plaza outside of Globe Life Field, adjacent to Texas Live. Rangers executives, players, manager Bruce Bochy, all expected to be there, plus a huge crowd. People in Arlington are going to be fired up for that, so congratulations to the Texas Rangers. All right, the Spurs are coming off that really big win in Phoenix the other night, and guess who they play tonight?
Phoenix.
So let's see if KD wants to get them back or if the Spurs can dominate them again, down the stretch. That was a great game. Phoenix blew a 20-point lead. I should say the Spurs erased a 20-point lead
they did.
to win that game. And, oh, by the way, look at what else we have from the San Antonio Spurs. That is the unveiling of the 2023-24 Nike NBA City Edition uniform. And that one right there is inspired by Hemisphere.
Oh, yeah.
So here's some, let's see if we can do this.
That's cool.
Against the white base, the San Antonio woodmark arches across the chest and accented by chocolate brown and saffron orange are trim. Inspired by the earth tone fashion trends of the late 60s, the color palette expands down the short sides and shades of terracotta pink, sunflower yellow, and succulent green. The logo on the lower left side of the uniform shorts pays tribute to our city's landmark, the Tower of the Americas, which was built for the 1968 World's Fair.
Gosh, it's like Morgan Freeman almost, I tell you.
That is cool,
That's
David.
good, though. I was just looking at those online. They are kind of cool.
They are kind of cool. Yeah, at first I saw them, I went, huh?
Yeah.
And then I read it celebrating the 68 World's Fair and
all
those colors back
here.
then. I went, oh, okay, so I get it now.
Super cool.
Yeah, very,
So I
very
got it.
nice.
So that's pretty cool.
And very well said there,
Thanks,
David.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Have you thought about TV or radio as a career?
Once.
Okay.
You can also narrate the fashion runway.
Yep. Thank you, David Sears.
I don't know about it.
9:50, 51 degrees.
We'll be right back.
'Tis the month before Christmas, and all through the land, Hollywood is rolling out movies to meet public demand.
From Trolls to Bethlehem to a prequel of Hunger Games, there's a lot of different films coming out this month.
CNN's Rick Damigella gives us a look.
So we're gonna have fun and keep making toys.
November at the movies kicks off with Flying Reindeer as Build-A-Bear Entertainment brings Glisten and the Merry Mission to theaters Friday. Journey to Bethlehem adds humor and a musical spin to the story of Mary and Joseph and the birth of Jesus. The film arrives in theaters November 10th.
We're a team. Oh, no, we're not a team.
We're not a team.
Whether or not they think they are a team, these three heroes will have to work together to untangle their powers when the Marvels fly into theaters November 10th.
The Hunger Games, they're to punish the districts. Those tributes don't have a choice.
Set decades before the birth of Katniss Everdeen, the prequel film The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes slithers into theaters November 17th. Also opening the 17th is the Trolls' latest animated musical adventure, Trolls Band Together.
But I follow in the footsteps of Alexander the Great and Caesar.
Oscar winner Joaquin Phoenix reunites with director Sir Ridley Scott for the historical epic Napoleon. The award season hopeful rides into theaters Wednesday, November 22nd.
Last night, I made a wish on a star. And the star answered.
Disney's newest animated adventure may take wishing upon a star a bit more literally. See what happens when Wish arrives in theaters on the 22nd. Getting extra popcorn in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
All right, well, now let's look at the forecast. We're jumping into the 50s. Temperatures are warming here pretty quickly. Still, we'll only be around 67 today. That's a beautiful, beautiful day. Tomorrow, same story, 74. Clouds generally increase over the weekend. So do temperatures. We're back in the 80s by Sunday, and a lot of warmth showing up next week.
A lot of what?
Warmth.
Okay. I just started, a lot of warmth.
Sorry. A lot of warmth.
No Shade November. Who's new to our effort this year? Is it Nick?
Nick is the new one. Otherwise, everyone else is a returnee.
Fantastic.
Welcome back, guys.
Handsome looking devils there.
Yeah, so this is everyone at KSAT who's participating.
Yeah.
And so we'll be growing out our beard. So you'll be asking us about why, and you can scan that QR code there if you want to donate. And then the reason why we're doing it for a good cause, raise money for cancer research, and hopefully find a cure for cancer.
Yeah, that would be good. And I know it's pretty slow now with donations, but I don't know, it gets pretty interesting in the end.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. Have a good day.